Hi, Jason from Metra Electronics. I'd like to talk to you about some of the Saddle Tramp products that we've got coming into the line this year. We're really excited about them because it's going to offer a lot of solutions and integration options that are going to plug and play directly with a wide range of motorcycle year, make, and models. I've got most of it laid out here on the table. I'm going to take some time, go over each individual harness and how it can benefit you in the install bay. The first harness I'd like to tell you about is by far one of the largest harnesses that we have within the new Saddle Tramp wire harness line. And that is part number BC-9716. This is for your 98 all the way to 2013 models of the Road Glide, the Street Glide, or basically the Batwing Fairing or the Road Glide Fairing models. It is a harness that is designed to retain the factory radio, and we have a T-harness here with the OE plugs, and it gives you the ability to add in aftermarket amplifiers with relative ease. We've done all the tapping for the speaker wires for you. We include Molex connectors so that they can be pinned to match the inputs or the outputs of your aftermarket amplifier, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then we also have it pre-wired for our DSP-WR interface. So you can use one or the other. You can use the standard input side coming right from the radio's output right into your aftermarket amp, or you can upgrade the sound, control the sound a little bit better, adjust the equalization, adjust your crossover points, and plug in our AXDSP interface. It comes with not only the input side of the harness, but also the output side of the DSP harness. We have some other accessories that go along with this kit and that are included with the kit. With a lot of the aftermarket amplifiers that are out there in the market today, they're a lot of microamps. And those microamps have different types of input and output style plugs. This particular amp has a very small 4-pin connector to RCA for both the front and the rear. This is a 4-channel amp. On the output side, this is the speaker output, you have a normal 4-pin Molex. This is really where our harnessing comes into play and can benefit you a lot in the install bay, time saving. We have heat shrunk labels, amp input front, amp input rear. And then we include Molex connectors that can be pinned to match. In this case, because we have RCA inputs on our amp, we can pin it to where it matches and the pins seat in appropriately. The installation goes very quick, very easy. Just that simple. Now I've converted my outputs from my factory radio to RCA inputs into my aftermarket amp. And I can do that for the front and rear harnesses. Now on the output side, we operate very much the same way. So with our harness, we have amp output harnesses, both rear and front. They have the same style terminals on them, and we include the Molex connectors you need to plug into this particular amp. So we can take the aftermarket harness that was supplied with it and pin accordingly. Now, if you do find that you've possibly mispinned this connector, you're going to need a Molex pin removal tool. It's a pretty common piece. Can be picked up like a DigiKey or something like that. So now I've got that pinned appropriately, and this will plug directly into my aftermarket amplifier. There's a lot of amplifiers, aftermarket amplifiers, that have different styles of inputs and different styles of outputs. Are you always going to need this setup here? No. but it is universal across multiple styles of amplifiers, and that's really what we were going for with this particular product. Now, one of the other options that I'd like to talk to you about that are included with this BC9716 is a rear speaker wire harness. So sometimes maybe your motorcycle doesn't have rear speakers. You want to get them there. We have some universal parts like our BC-9720, which is a backbone harness that'll take the signal from either your aftermarket amplifier or feed an input signal down the backbone of the motorcycle through our BC-9720 harness. It can get you some rear speaker leads back there. For the installation of the BC-9720, you will need to remove the gas tank and run that harness down the backbone of the motorcycle. So it's a great piece, it's incredibly universal, and it gives the installer a lot of options. Everything's plug and play. We're managing all of the inputs and outputs for you, and then giving you everything you need to make it work with your aftermarket amplifier. Now, just like I showed you, we had a direct input option from our T-harness into our aftermarket amplifier. We also include the output harness of our DSP. So we can pin that the same way, and this is going to be a one or the other type of installation. So if you choose to use the DSP-WR, again, we have RCA inputs. So all we have to do is pin this accordingly. And now we have, from the output of our DSP, after we've done all of our settings, our equalization, our crossover points, everything else, we've got now an input directly into our amplifier with that full control that the Axxess DSP offers. So it's a great solution, gives the customers and the installers a wide range of flexibility in tuning their systems. Now, the next harness I'd like to tell you about is BC-9713. This is an adapter harness from the 96 to 97 Harley-Davidson motorcycles with a fairing and a factory radio. It converts the plugs from that factory radio to the 98 to 13 plugs that are found on the BC-9716. So it's a great conversion harness. You don't have to have all kinds of harnesses in your shop to adapt in aftermarket equipment. You can just carry one, and it's going to cover that 2-year range and adopt it to more universal style connections from the Saddle Tramp line. So it's a great little piece. It's going to work out really well. Now, the next set of harnesses that I'd like to talk to you about is for motorcycles with factory amplifiers and bypassing those. So this is the BC-9725. This is for the 11 to 13 CVOs with factory amplifiers. And it comes with the 2 amp bypass plugs, one for the rear amp bypass and one for the front amp bypass. And this is basically going to loop the inputs to the outputs and bypass those factory amps altogether. We're also including with this speaker adapter harnesses. These speaker adapter harnesses fit the 11 to 13 CVO, but they also fit the 14 and up saddlebags. So you're going to have front and rear connectors available all from this one kit. It's going to make your installation just that much easier, less work, less tapping that you're going to have to do, because now we have some plug-in bypass connectors. Solves all kinds of issues. The next 4 harnesses I'd like to tell you about are more of a universal style. They were originally designed for the 2014 and up Harley-Davidson touring models. And what we decided to do was take some of those style of connectors from the 2014 and up year range and adopt them into our 96 or 98 to 13 Harley-Davidson harnesses. And that's primarily what our rear harness is for when you want to get rear audio to maybe some saddlebag lids or a TOURPAK lid or whatever it is. It's got the standard Harley-Davidson 4-pin plug that you would typically find in the 14 and ups. So the first harness I'd like to talk to you about is our backbone harness. I mentioned this one a little bit earlier, but it is a Harley-Davidson backbone harness. It's got the male and female plugs on it. It's about 6 feet in length, so it's got plenty of room to go from the factory radio to the location underneath the seat. Remember, you will have to take off your gas tank in order to get that run down the backbone harness. Now, once you're underneath the seat, there's a possibility you're going to have multiple speakers back there, whether they're the speaker pods on either side of the rear seat, saddlebag speakers, or maybe some TOURPAK speakers, and that's why we made the BC-9721. This is a splitter, so from underneath the seat, it plugs in to our BC-9720, and it splits off the signal. Now, one thing we're going to have to remember, you're going to have to remember, is the ohm load capabilities of your aftermarket amplifiers. So it gives you the ability to split it off. However, driving down to 2 or 1 ohms may not be possible for your aftermarket amp. You'll just have to review your spec sheets to confirm. Now the next harness, since we're talking about the back end of the motorcycle, is our BC-9723. And this harness taps into that BC-9721, the splitter, and it splits off the rear audio signal into watertight connections that are designed to carry audio signal into your saddlebags. So we've got a nice malleable rubber grommet here. Pop a hole in that lower saddlebag, in the lower corner of the saddlebag, snap this in. You have this quick disconnect here, so in case you need to remove the saddlebags. But that's going to get you your rear audio into your saddlebags, both left and right, or brake and clutch, belt and brake, however you want to say it. It's going to be a it's great addition. It's simple. Everything is labeled, heat shrinks, marked belt side and brake side, so installation can go really easy. And it's also, you know, the customer doesn't lose any functions of their motorcycle. They can still get rid of those saddlebags, take them off if they need to. Since we're talking about some of the audio harnessing in the back of the motorcycle, the next one I'd like to discuss is the BC-9727. This is a TOURPAK speaker harness. If you're going to install 6x9s in your TOURPAK, the Saddle Tramp line offers a replacement Saddle Tramp lid, TOURPAK lid. This plugs in underneath the seat and routes up to the TOURPAK. It has an overmolded rubber grommet, so you're going to maintain that watertight seal. And it's going to give you enough speaker length, not too much, but enough speaker length for you to get to each speaker. In this case would be 6x9s if you're using the Saddle Tramp TOURPAK lid. So again, it's a great addition. These 4 harnesses have that universal option. They give you universal options to get speakers into your saddlebag lids, to get speaker into your TOURPAK lids, or maybe just to get audio signal from the front of the bike to underneath the seat. So they're great universal options for what you guys are going to need in the bay. So we're going to box some of this 98 to 13 stuff up, and we're going to bring in our 14 and up harnesses next. Now the harness I have laid out in front of me is the BC-9715. This is very similar to the larger harness, the BC-9716 we talked about earlier, only this is for the 2014 and up. This is going to be for models with fairings, obviously with factory radio. This is to retain your factory radio. You can see we've got the T-harness, comes with all the OE style connections. Just like the other harness, it gives you the option to have just a standard direct input, or adding a DSP so that you can control the output levels directly into your aftermarket amplifiers. Just like the other harness, everything's pre-wired, multiple options, so we can have RCA and plug in directly into RCA inputs on our aftermarket amp, or we can have the speaker leads plugged directly into the amplifier's output for those amplifiers that can accept that style of input and output connections. So it offers a lot of flexibility, just like the 98-13 model. Again, comes with the DSP output harness. So all you would need at that point is just to pick up a AXDSPX-WR or an AXDSPL-WR, and you're ready to go. You can have that flexibility of controlling your equalization, your crossover points, time delay, even output levels. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility. And because our harnesses are designed to offer that flexibility, it's going to match up with any product, amplifier and speaker-wise, that you choose to put into the bike. Two other harnesses I'd like to talk to you about are the BC-9714, and this is a harness that is designed to work in the speaker enclosures that you're typically going to find in your street glides and road glides, Batwing Fairing and road glide style bikes. So this has an overmolded grommet. It is designed to fit in that OE hole, and then the grommet snaps directly into place. So it's a great fit. You've got your speaker wires inside the housing, and you've got your OE style connector on the outside of the housing. Now, the next one I'd like to talk to you about is the BC-9722. And let's say that you want to add maybe some lower fairing speaker pods, or maybe full lower fairing speaker assemblies. You got to get the audio signal down there somehow. And the BC-9722 is how we're going to do that. So coming out of your OE speaker pod is this style of OE connection. So we built another T-harness, plugs into OE connections. Even if you have existing speakers with existing factory wiring, you still can use our BC-9722 to tap into audio. Comes with a nice TexFlex coating over the wire, so it'll blend in really nicely to the motorcycle. And it's pre-terminated with our speaker terminals, speaker spades. So you can zip tie these down into place, get that audio signal down into your lower fairing speaker pod or your full assembly. Again, we have those products within the Saddle Tramp line as well, so you can look at our website, take a look at our catalog, and find out the best part that's going to fit for you. Now, factory amplifiers are becoming more popular, certainly on the 14 and up motorcycles. So having an amp bypass harnessing for those style motorcycles was a no-brainer. So this is part number BC-9726, and this is amp bypass for 2014 and up. And we've included all the different styles of amp bypass plugs that are typically going to be found. Some bikes have 1 amp, some bikes have 2, others have 3, and the Mac Daddy has 4 amps from the factory. So we built and designed 4 amp bypass plugs. We've also included the saddlebag speaker adapter plugs so that you can tap in and add aftermarket speakers to your saddlebags. Just like with our harnessing from the BC 9716 and the 9715, we left this depinned so that you can pin it and match the output of your aftermarket amplifier. This is for the front amp bypass. These two are for the rear amp bypasses. And then this one is for the right saddlebag amp bypass. So it all comes complete in one kit. And it's going to help with you getting rid of those factory amps and adding in your own aftermarket and improve the overall output for your customers' liking and needs. Now earlier we were talking about the universal harnessing and how it applies to the 98 to 13 Harley-Davidson models. All of these harnesses will work on the 14 and up as well. As a matter of fact, some of the 14 and ups have these styles of harnesses already in the motorcycles. So it can literally be a plug and play option. An example of that is if you have rear audio on your 2014 and up motorcycle already, that means you already have that audio backbone harness coming down from the front of the bike down to underneath the seat. Our BC-9721 will allow you to unplug the factory speaker connections, plug in our Y harness, retain the OE speakers that are being powered by maybe your factory radio or an aftermarket amplifier from up front, and it gives you the ability to maybe add an additional harness, maybe some saddlebags speakers or maybe TOURPAK speakers. It just gives you that flexibility. So with the design of these harnesses, it's really going to open up a lot of doors for you to cut down installation time and to make sure that polarity is right, that you have the right wire lengths, you're not going to have a lot of water intrusion because of our grommets. All in all, it's a well-rounded product line, and we've got pretty much everything covered that you're going to need in the bay. The Harley-Davidson market is and always has been a hot market, and the accessories that we have shown you today are really going to go a long way towards helping the installer or helping the customer add in their aftermarket accessories that they're looking for, whether it's a radio, aftermarket amplifier, aftermarket speakers, TOURPAK lids, saddlebag lids, you name it, the Saddle Tramp line has you covered. We have something for you. If you'd like more information on what we have available, you can visit metraonline.com for a full list of our Saddle Tramp products.